Okay, so in the previous video we just saw, so if we had to find we had a function y equals x square, right? And we had to find the area under this curve. And what we had finally, okay, so we had finally managed to find the area under this curve, under the curve of x square. And what we had got was, we had got another function, we had got this. So the area under this is given by this. Obviously applying limits from somewhere to somewhere. Okay, we can't have area without limits. So we had to apply the first limit and the second limit. But this is the expression that gave me, that I used. Okay, so I find the, okay, this is the function that I used to find the area under this curve by applying limits and all that. But this is the thing that you need to keep in mind. Okay, so and we also know the relation between these two, right? This is the derivative of this. Okay, so if I, okay, so this function is a derivative of this. If you differentiate this, we get this. So if I differentiate, okay, so if I write derivative, so this is the derivative of this. So if you differentiate this, you get this. Now, so it's like a relation between two functions. It is a relation between them, not the mathematical relation. It is the connection between them. So if this was a person, he'll call him as his derivative. So you are my derivative, like, okay. And so even this has to call him something. So what does he call him back? So you are my antiderivative. So it's like, he's my father. He cannot call me his father again, right? So if I say you're my father, he'll say you're my son. So son and father are like opposites in meaning, right? Or I say she's my sister, shooting the video here. So she's my sister, but she will not obviously call me her sister. She'll call me her brother. So brother and sister are again opposites. Okay, so it's the same way. If this is its derivative, this is its antiderivative. So clearly opposite, antiderivative. So antiderivative. Now I differentiate this to get this. Now there must be some process to go back from there to here also. So that is the process that just was integration. So if I integrate this, I get this. Or if I find the area under the curve of this, I get this. Now how do I write the notation? Okay, so when I was differentiating, I write we write dy by dx equals whatever it is. Okay, this is the notation that I use. So y equals something. Let's say y equals x square is our function. If I differentiate, I get y equals 2x. So differentiating, this is the derivative function, this is the original function, and this is the notation that I use. What is the notation that I use in this case when I'm going from here to here? So in that case, when I'm going from here to here, I say, so this is the symbol that I use for integration. Okay, this is not very well drawn, but yeah, this is pretty much the symbol that you use. And we simply write in y, or okay, so the same function, integration of y dot. Now pause for a moment and just see what we were actually doing. So this is the diagram of y, this is the graph of y versus x, right? It was something like this in the case of x square. So how do we find the area of this? What we were actually doing is taking a small rectangle, finding the area of this. What is the area of this? This height, which is y. So that's why we write y there. This height here is y, the value of y. So I write y multiplied. So dot also means multiplication. Multiplied by this. What is this? This is a small change in x. How do we represent a small change in x? Dx, right? So multiplied by dx. So this. So without the integral symbol, this represents the area of this small rectangle. Sorry. Now I had to obviously sum up the area of many rectangles from this point to this, from this point to this point. So I had many rectangles there. So how do I sum up? I integrate them, and that's why I just put the symbol of integral here. And this whole thing represents the area of this whole thing. So this is how I represent the area. I'll remove my circle, sorry, and I just remove this diagram. So this whole expression refers to the area under the curve. And obviously now I have to also write the limits. There have to be two limits, right? From somewhere to somewhere. So I write those limits here. Now some people tend to write them inside. I prefer to write them outside. There's no hard and fast rule, I believe, but yeah, you can write it anywhere. So we write the lower limit here, the limit closer to the x-axis, closer to the origin here. So that is x1, could be anything, okay, x1, and the upper limit here, x2. This whole equals, in this case, this was equal to x cube by 3. So how do I solve this? I simply take my first, so I just apply my limits. And how do I apply my limits? So the integral simply equals from x1 to x2 equals, so I use the square brackets here and I write the limits here. Again, the lower limit at the lower point. Okay, the lower limit means the limit closer to the origin. Okay, and I simply put in my, so the same thing, I'm just writing the equals to here. So I put in my values, x2 cube by 3 minus x1 cube by 3. I simply calculate this, calculate that, and subtract, and I get the area. Okay, so that is fairly simple. Now let us generalize the whole thing here. So if I have my function as y equals x square, what is my integral in this case? X cube by 3. Okay, one more thing. This is just or maybe I'll put that in the next video. Okay, leave that. So here I'm okay. So here, what do I do? So yeah. So the integral is the integral or the area is given by this function here. And how do I arrive from this x square to here? So we need to frame some rule in this case also. So what have I done here? I have increased the power by 1, right? And also the same power comes in the denominator. Now I know I'm going a bit mechanically, but that is how we actually do it. So if I have to write it in general terms, x raised to power n, how will you write y dot dx? So you increase this by 1, as I've done 2, from going from 2 to 3, I've increased the power by 1. So I increase the power by 1 and plus 1 and divide by the same number, n plus 1, the same power, okay? Here, the same number, I divide that the expression by the same number. So this expression here is called the power rule, okay? Because this, okay, so this is used to calculate the power of whatever function that you're integrating. So this is called the power rule of integration. We have the power rule of differentiation also. This is the power rule of integration also. Now, yeah, and just to clarify, why am I putting this n plus 1 here? Well, just now I just told you this function here is the derivative of this thing. So this, whenever, so I have to keep in mind, okay, so whenever I differentiate this, I have to reach here, right? So if I differentiate, I'll just differentiate it, okay? So if I differentiate this expression here, y equals this thing, I should arrive at this. So differentiating this, I won't differentiate that, okay? Wait, I'll just do it. dy by dx equals, if I differentiate this, so how, sorry, I keep the coefficient as it is. So my 1 by n plus 1 is my coefficient. I keep it as it is, multiplied by, now I get the power at the position of the coefficient. So my power comes here. And I reduce this by 1. So this into x raised to power, reduce that by 1, I simply get n. And I cancel this by this, and I simply get x raised to power n. And that is simply this. And that is why I have this n plus 1 here. So that I can cancel it with this, okay? So I hope that should also be fairly simple for you, and this is the way you integrate. So I know this is not a very simple concept, obviously, because it took the great Newton to, after all, come up with all this. So yeah, it'll take time for you to absorb all this idea, and I suggest watch all those videos, the next videos also, so that you get a grip over the mathematical aspect of integration as well. So with that being said, we'll end this video, and this is the power rule. Yeah, bye.